So the Capacitar exercise that I was going to do today is called switching. I was just going to tell you a little bit about switching first of all before we do the exercise, so that we don't sort of take away how you hopefully feel at the end of it. So switching is a Capacitar exercise that's been adapted from the work of the Brain Gym, and it's incredibly effective in helping people connect with what we call their centre. So I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But it really helps about releasing strong emotions and enables you to focus with clarity. When we talk about connecting with your centre, which will come into the practice, if you imagine that your centre is basically somewhere just beneath your navel in your abdomen, that's what we call your centre. So sometimes you'll hear it called the dantian, which is what the Chinese call it, or the hara, which is what Indian folk call it. But it's that spot that's just basically in the middle of your abdomen, so that's your centre. So during the practice, when I talk about your centre, that's where we're thinking about. So it's, as I said, switching is actually a really beneficial exercise to calm and centre yourself. Some people use it prior to meditating to get themselves into the right space, but it's really good to help lighten depression and anxiety as well, and about focusing your mind. So it can be really useful for people who may have flashbacks. It can be really useful to help people if they're experiencing anxiety of any description at that moment. So by way of example, I've used it with district nursing students and community nursing students before they've sat exams or assessments. And it's fascinating to see that when I'm on campus with them, I've noticed that a couple of the students who I know live with chronic anxiety, I've seen them doing this exercise during a session, particularly if we've been talking about assessment or academic work. It's obviously something that raises their anxiety levels, but I've seen them do this exercise because it's a really simple, easy one to do, and it's quite, you can do it without folk going, what are you doing? You know, it's a nice, easier one to do. It's being used a lot with children as well. So in schools, they're using it with children to either help children who have challenging behaviour, or again, if anxiety levels are rising. And sometimes they'll turn it into a game and use it as a game to start a day as well. It's bizarrely really useful for insomnia as well. So it can be practiced sat up, which is what we'll do today, but you can equally do it lying down. So you can do it in bed before you fall asleep at night. And people have reported that it's really helped them with their insomnia. I've also had community nurses feeding back to me that they have been able to do this in their cars if they've been into a visit that has been particularly distressing or demanding in whatever way, and noticed a real improvement before they then move on to go and visit the next person as well. So it's a really, really nice one to be able to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the music on and I'll start talking. If you can't hear me or it needs adjusting, if you can pop it in the chat, Paul as wingman will let me know what I need to adjust and we'll go from there. So it is quite quiet music, and it's deliberately meant to be quiet because obviously we want to be nice and calm with this. So what I would like you to be able to do first of all is, wherever you are, just get yourself so that you are sat comfortably. Okay, it doesn't matter how you're sat as such. If you're upright and supported, that's great, but you do need to be comfortable. That's the first thing. And then if I get you just to take your hands and put them over your abdomen where I was talking about your centre being. And what I'd like you to do is to consciously think about breathing deeply into that area. Okay, so just pop your hands there. If it's helpful to shut your eyes at this stage, please do, but just think about breathing into your centre. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is to cross your left ankle over your right ankle. And if you have your eyes shut at the moment, you may want to open them just to see this next little bit. I'm going to go sideways on so that you can see. But what I'd like you to do is extend your hands forward. Okay. And then your thumbs are uppermost, but I just want you to flip your hands over like that, so the back of your hands are towards one another and your thumbs here are pointing down towards the ground. And once you're like that, if you lift your right hand up over your left, interlace your fingers so that you're gripping each hand, and then you're going to take that grip up and under, so you're going to go up this way so that you end up with your hands crossed like this against your chest. So the reason this is called switching is because you have your left ankle over your right ankle, but you've got your right hand over your left hand, and that's where the switching comes from. So now that you're in that position, if you close your eyes, and I just want you to be able to breathe deeply and relax your entire body. And if you can, imagine that you are able to drop down into the center of your being. So just keep breathing deeply. And if you now relax your tongue in your mouth, and if you put the tip of your tongue touching just behind the upper front teeth, you'll find that that relaxes your tongue really easily. And just carry on breathing deeply and let go of all thought. We're just going to rest in this position of stillness and deep peace for a few minutes. Just carry on breathing deeply and picture yourself falling and dropping down deeply into the center of your being. If you keep your tongue just touching behind your upper front teeth to keep it nice and relaxed. And remember, we're doing this to help calm and center ourselves, to focus our minds and our spirits. And we'll just stay like this for a little while longer. If you now just very gently and slowly unlace your fingers so that your hands are free, and take your hands down into your lap and just relax your hands there. Just carry on breathing deeply. And then when you're ready, if you just slowly open your eyes and bring yourself back into the room. And now if you just bring your hands and your arms up and stretch them out, just release anything that's in your fingers. And then if you take your hands up to the top of your head and just very gently tap your head to stimulate your brain and energy. Then uncross your ankles, rest your hands in your lap, and that's the end of the exercise.